Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Day Mystics Show. Our mission here is to help you turn whatever you desire into real-life manifestations by sharing a revolutionary technology to make that happen for you. We bring you such cutting-edge information through our resident wizard, Peter Schenk, and also guests each week that are really making a difference to improve our lives on a variety of levels. I am your co-host, Donna, along with the modern day mystic himself, Peter Schenk. Peter, how are you?
I'm doing great. A lot of things going on, folks, but I want to just blow the doors open with a Source 5 activation. So with that said, please go ahead and get your water. Source 5 is 5th generation technology coming to a reality near you at 12:01 a.m. on November 1st. There is a link in the email that went out. If you're new to the technology and you find it intriguing and want to purchase it, get your name, click on the link, put your name in the on the website where you go to on the Modern Day site, and at 12:01 an email will be sent out with a really good incentive if you're new to it. And of course, if you own any of the Source lineage, you're entitled to a 50% upgrade. An email will follow suit at 12:15 a.m. on November 1st with all of those details. So with that said, folks, if you're new to this, the Source 5 is a manifestation program. It changes your reality around you by which what you want to bring into fruition. With that said, it is completely customizable and what we call arrays. And I've done a lot of YouTube videos over the last 2 weeks of the technology. So I'm not going to go completely into it. All you need to know is where your attention goes, your manifestation will follow. We are consciously directing your manifestation into water via 9 symbols of creation. This program, Lineage, has been absolutely outstanding and has done a lot of amazing things for people over the years. Okay, tonight's manifestation is just about calmness. A lot of people this time of year, as we're cruising into the holidays, are worried about this, that, and the other thing. There's no reason for it. It's all an illusion. People are cartoon characters around you. They are not real. So this is all about calmness. So in your head, very clearly get what calmness means to you. Okay? I'm going to count backwards, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to click enter in the Source 5. The only thing that is required of you is to put your attention on your water, at which point, while the source is running, it takes about 30 seconds. The water can do some really cool things. Sometimes it starts to vibrate. Sometimes it'll start to bubble. Sometimes it crawls out of the glass. Sometimes it soaks through the glass. And on occasion, folks, it changes color. So with that said, here we go. 3, 2, 1, entering the Source 5 now. Water preparation runs for 3.1 seconds. User preparation runs for 3.1 seconds. Pre-nucleate 3.1 seconds. Setting the light pads 3.1. And of course, nucleating the water. And this is where the magic really happens. Manifestation is now going into the water. We are done, folks. I'd like everyone to go ahead and drink as much of their water as they want. Notice the taste and the texture difference. In a few seconds after you consume it, you will feel the light rays starting to come out. The light rays are what are carrying the manifestation, so Source can come by and grab it. Hi, Donna.
Hey.
I'm back. Hey, everyone. So we have an amazing amount of things going on. Obviously, we are very, very excited. Source 5 is coming Tuesday morning at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time. With that said, today we did the first cut of the 30-day Body, Mind, and Spirit Challenge. So there will be a commercial coming in the next few days with a link to the website, or the webpage on the website, and a sign up and, of course, content to support the endeavor that we're after. This is going to be massive, and that's all I'm going to say about that. This should really all be about the Source 5, but we have a guest. Who's our guest, Donna?
Oh, we have a guest, folks. And of course, we're very excited to bring our Scott Lemriel on the show tonight. He is a experience-based hidden truth researcher and international conference speaker who was passionate about revealing to others what he has discovered and is continuing to discover regarding purposefully hidden truth on Earth. And on an interdimensional galactic scale, these encounters serve to awaken the hidden or suppressed true nature and the called understanding of the multidimensional universe, in contrast to relying on belief, speculation, and theory. So tonight we have Scott Lemriel with us.
Scott, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Good picture, good sound quality.
Got the mic muted just in time.
Please tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I started down this road, usually at conferences, one of the first things, or even on radio shows, I'm asked, how did you get started in this road? What motivated you in your life to begin to explore and recover things that people on Earth that I discovered have been made to deliberately not remember? And that's through the misuse of technology. I started when I was maybe 2.5 years old. I was hovering above my little child's body in Salt Lake City, Utah, walking up the steps towards my parents' brick house. And they were having a regular earthly argument between a man and a woman, not violent. And for some reason, I could see the electromagnetic fields around their bodies, what people call the aura, or the energetic field. And between them was a shield of red energy and sparks coming off it. They were not communicating well. They were out of harmony. That was very painful to me. But what it did is it triggered me to get out of that body and hover above it. And I discovered that I was a conscious, fully aware human male from another world. I was not from Earth. I was looking at a sphere of energy, an energetic sphere of energy, a large transparent sphere. And in it were geometric formulas, mathematical equations, positions of the star patterns in the heavens, and I knew exactly where I was. I understood the technology that was involved way beyond Earth. And I looked at these symbols and I said, Earth? What am I doing on Earth? That's what started me, Peter.
Party time.
Here I am, this fully conscious human male, not from Earth, going, what the heck am I doing around this 2.5-year-old body? That's what started.
I ask myself every night when I go to bed and every morning when I get up, what am I still doing here? My mission's not done yet.
No, just unfolding more. So, I obviously spiraled down into that body after that, but that recovered some years later, the entire experience. And it headed me in a direction of researching hidden truth at my young age that most people really weren't even thinking about. I wanted to know what happened. Why was I a fully conscious, mature adult male, thinking these thoughts and knowing what I was doing and where I was and what they meant at that age? Some years later, I was 21, and I was going on a little road trip around the southwestern United States with a man and his wife and their newborn baby. It was just like a little journey, just exploring special spots, Sedona and different energy spots and things like that. And we were heading through the desert along the Salt Flats at about 3 a.m. in the morning, headed towards Salt Lake City. Moonless, clear, beautiful starlit sky. And I got this communication from a human male, apparently aboard a ship, and he was human, no lost time, no abduction, little gray guy experience or anything like this. And he said, my name is Monka, M-O-N-K-A. And I want to show you something. Can you?
Willy Wonka?
Huh? Not Willy Wonka. Monka. M-O-N-K-A. He wasn't part of the chocolate factory, no.
You weren't.
No.
Ticket at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I wish, no. And he told me to tell the people and the folks in the front seat, they liked listening to country music, and the radio station was tuned to a country station. I didn't care about one way or the other. And I told them that I was getting this communication from this benevolent being aboard a ship. And they just listened to me. We've been talking about this stuff anyway. And then suddenly the radio blurred through the radio station dials like somebody spinning the dial through all these different frequencies. Then it stopped on a frequency, and we were listening to the commander of a local Air Force base ordering 2 Black Hawk helicopters to go out over the desert and find something they detected on radar. We were listening to this on the radio, which was very odd because we didn't tune to that station, and I doubt the radio could have tuned to that station anyway. Somebody manipulated this. There was no fear. None of us had any experience of fear whatsoever. And he said, I want you to pull over the road and stop, and then just look out the window and look up about 10,000 feet up over the salt flats. So we did that. The next instant, he says, I want you to see this. There was a blinding flash of cobalt blue light, spherical, that lit up the entire desert. And then it shot straight into the ground as if it was going to crash. And we could hear this commander ordering these guys. He was very angry to get over there and find that. So they flew right over the top of our car. No lights, almost silent in stealth mode. And then they reported back they couldn't find anything. There was no wreckage, nothing. We stayed there for a little while, and then we just smiled at each other, started the car, and drove away. These are the kinds of things that started me down this road of discovering how to awaken things that have been deliberately made to be unconscious in people on this planet. And that's through the misuse of technology, which is not native to this planet. It's the misuse of technology only, and it deals with frequency. What I discovered through many more experiences through my 20s and into my 30s when I started writing prolifically, started with screenplays, and I started getting to writing books. And it took, oh gosh, many, many years to develop what I have published now. I would have to say that the contacts I had in those days opened certain doorways. They were benevolent contacts. I wasn't looking for them. I never had any fear, no trauma to get over, nothing like this. And it started me down a road, and I started getting information. One other story I want to tell you, because it's very pertinent. When I was about 11 years old in Washington State, living in a place called Cherry Crest up on a forested mountain and hilltop, you could see Mount Rainier in the distance. And I'd come home on the school bus. I was the last one to be dropped off, and it would drive up 1.5 miles up this hill, drop me off a little wooden bus shed, and I'd watch it drive down the hill and disappear in the woods. I took one more step, and my head was gently pulled up, and I was looking at 2 groups of disc-shaped craft, luminous, in 2 triangular formations, hovering at about 40,000 feet maybe. And then I got this same communication that I had when I was 21. So this story predates the other one because I was 11. And the same being told me a whole lot of things that I didn't understand or know what to do with. And then the craft broke apart and did this dance across the sky, just the most amazing acrobatics, high-speed turns at 90 degrees like you would see in Close Encounters. But they didn't look like those ships. These were practical craft. They really were anti-gravity craft. And then they regrouped and just tipped more toward me as if they were just acknowledging me or respecting me, and then shot up into space. I walked home and told no one. I never mentioned this to my siblings or my parents. Probably pretty wise, because that would have been around 1961. Not a good idea at that time to talk about this kind of thing. So I kept it silent. About a week later, I decided, and this is a funny part, I decided I wanted to find out what beer tastes like because my parents drank and my father had cans of beer. I didn't know what the heck this stuff was about. So I snuck in the fridge and I got a can of beer, right? I snuck out the window and I walked across the dew-laden grass up to these little narrow roads that divided the houses. Again, a moonless, star-filled night sky. This was at a time when Bellevue, which is where Cherry Crest was, before it was highly built up. And I popped this can of beer. And the next thing I knew, I was laying on my back, spread eagle, with this open can of beer unspilled in my left hand. And I was looking at one single craft, about 30 feet wide, pulsating from blue to white light. No fear, no missing time. I wasn't abducted, but there was a steady stream of telepathic information between us coming from the pilot of this craft, who was a human male from another world. And I knew this. I knew it immediately. That went on for about 15 minutes, and then the craft pulsed from blue to white light faster and faster, and then shot up into space. I took this can of beer and looked at it, dumped it out, threw it in the garbage, climbed back in the bed and went to sleep, never told a soul. My mother's 88 years old right now. When she was a couple of years younger, she found out what I was going through because she read the first book of the Sayre's Agenda, which is the first book I published through a New York publisher. And that's where this began for her, because she had no idea. I never spoke about it. I spent 30 years developing my writing style and what I had to write about. I wrote the series of books called the Parallel Time Trilogy, thus my website. And then I was inspired to start to write about these experiences, which became the Sayre's Agenda. And while I was writing that book about this lifetime of experiences for the benefit of others, I was contacted by a being named Ambassador Torrelian. He's human, very tall, very benevolent, extremely wise, and he encouraged me to write this book. And I published it about 3 years ago. And I had to write 4 versions of it after that and finish because I was instructed to put a special technique section at the back of this book that works with a special vibratory word that activates the pineal gland. You asked me earlier about activation. That's what this does. And it does it in a way, and I've spent 35 years working with this to determine that when you're doing it, it protects the individual practicing it from any outside interference, any kind of frequency, technology, or being. I never ask anybody to take my word for this. I encourage them not to, but I do encourage them to do what I share with them because they'll begin to have their own direct experiences too. That's the reason I do what I do now. So Torrelian introduced himself to me, and a wealth of information opened up. I began to remember my lives on other worlds, predominantly more than I've ever had here. And also how I came to be on this planet, which was not by my free will choice or consent. That was a real shocker. It took me years to get used to that. That's what started me down this road, Peter.
So, Scott, this crowd absolutely loves activations. And in the pre-show, we were kind of talking about doing an activation with everybody tonight.
Right.
So you are in front and center, my friend.
I'm going to give you a little bit of information about this, what this word does. First of all, it is the first. Here's how arrogant tyrants are, off-world and on the planet. It's hidden in plain sight such that no one would ever consider that it might have value or even know how to use it. It's the first 2 letters in the word human, H-U. And it sets up a frequency when you say it out loud at a comfortable tone of your vocal cords, or even in your imagination, not saying it out loud. It still works. And it sounds like a round hole tone. It vibrates when you try it, only the head upward. It's a very pure tone. It connects to a primordial underlying energy field that exists all through the multidimensional universe, even in the void of space. As beings, I discovered over long experience that we are spherical in shape. Energy, individuals, not the body, spherical. And that this spherical form of energy has the awareness to see and perceive in 360 degrees, get in and out of bodies, and look into the universe and know things with certainty, which is really contrastive to remaining in theory, faith, speculation, and fear and doubt. It dispenses those kinds of things. So as I worked it over the years, I began to look into the universe and see and know things that I had been made to forget, suppressed subconsciously. I discovered after a while that human beings in other worlds, normal human beings, do not have a subconscious mind. That really shocked me. What do you mean they don't have a subconscious mind? No, not at all. If it's subconscious, frequencies can be used in a way you're not aware to do things, to manipulate things. I'm sure your work probably goes into trying to liberate some of this subconscious stuff, right? Get it?
Actually, yeah, when we were running the Source 5, it was water prep and user preparation. User preparation is a frequency that creates a thin veil in the water. And as soon as you drink it, it goes right to the subconscious mind, opens it up for acceptance.
Beautiful, beautiful. Then this is really going to relate to you well, experientially. My work is about sharing with others with their participation. So that if they work at about 10 minutes a night for a while, up to 30 days, things are going to happen in a most amazing ways, in a very safe way, a protected way. Okay. Now, you've heard of Om that came out of the East. People used to chant this thing, Om, and all that kind of thing, so popular years ago. When you do it, it vibrates the throat and chest area, this part of the body. When you do the hue, it only vibrates the head upward, particularly the pineal gland in the center of the brain. And it opens a door and then connects the being, the spherical form, what people call soul, what people from other worlds call Atma, directly into the source energy. It does not connect with anything negative, psychic, positive, negative. It goes way beyond that. Thus, this form of protection that starts to come into this picture on it. And it sounds like this. Round, whole, vibratory frequency tone. Doesn't matter what tone a person uses. You know, and even if a blind or deaf person was taught how to feel this or hear it and were communicated to, they could do this even in their imagination and it'll still make a connection. It activates something that's been long dormant in people, particularly on this planet. And then it starts to undo everything that was done to people without their consent or awareness. They begin to remember how they came here. Most people on Earth, when you ask them, how did you come to Earth? Why were you born here? They don't know.
Mommy and daddy?
No, they didn't know either. But most people think that's normal. So they have faith or something to go on. But this is not normal. And this isn't a normal human planet. But it is recently been scheduled to become one. And that's where my work comes into this. Say rays again. Who the Say rays are. How they got involved with the Galactic Alliance of planets out here. 450 million of them in just 1/4 of our Milky Way galaxy. There are 144 parallel dimensions of life and matter in the physical universe alone. Interesting number that people can traverse. People that are advanced enough to traverse the stars can traverse these different dimensions. So they have trade between world systems, not just in physical space, but in parallel dimensions. So it's very large.
Then how come the masses of Earth don't know about this?
Well, there's a little thing called implant. I'm not talking about the little chips under the skin the military was working on. Basically, they did that to try to reverse what was done to them. The implants I'm talking about are more holographic, and they're placed in the electromagnetic field around what people call aura. When they see an aura around a body, it's not being emanated by the body.
So let's logically break this down for a second, Scott.
Yeah.
You have 144 million planets.
No, 450 plus million.
450 million plus planets with populations with an endless amount of
spacefaring races, all benevolent.
Why is Earth not a part of that, and why are we being holographically controlled? You see, from an analytical mind, that doesn't make sense to me, and I need to know why.
Okay. The reason is because Earth, 500,000 years ago, there was a war in this galaxy. There hasn't been one since, between tyrant races and mostly benevolent world systems, and it was very destructive. The bad guys, and there was a treaty, and that treaty has been in place ever since. Earth, back in Galactic History 101, was caught in the middle of this in such a way that it became like a Switzerland. No one race, good or bad, has been able to dominate and own this planet. And no one was supposed to contact beings here until this race of beings here had one world government, benevolent world government, and were beginning to explore space. We fulfilled one of those solutions, but not the other one. A lot of beings started coming here when people started setting off nuclear and hydrogen bombs in our own atmosphere on this planet. That was considered to be quite insane by beings outside, because nuclear weapons are illegal outside of this planet. What's underway now started about 6 years ago, Peter, by a consciousness change amongst the vast organization of world systems out there to begin to intervene in this planet when galactic law forbade it. And the reason for that is because they became aware that human beings on Earth are not operating from true free will. They don't like to intervene in a planet's free will or anybody else's, but if people on Earth have been made to think they have free will and aren't really operating in it, then it's not a fair playing field. First, people have to be given back what was taken from them, and then they can make a decision to correct this planet. So that's underway. That's one of the things I do. What's more important for me in sharing this with you and your listeners is their use of the word hue and what it does. Because if they do it 10 or 15 minutes a night, what I share with them is send this out 5 times maybe, and then send out a particular order of words. And when I say them, they'll be immediately recognizable as important in how they're constructed. And it goes like this: safely show me deliberately hidden truth on a grand multidimensional scale, and the much greater knowing of the expansive love within it. That's what's sent out on the U. Beings in the universe that people don't no longer know exist, hear this. Time and space is not a factor. It's on a quantum level, as a way of putting it. And they will connect in, and people will hear this off-world because they've been using it for millions of years to keep from ever acquiring subconscious minds through which they can be controlled. It was through tyrant misuse of extraterrestrial technology that people on this world have been made to forget everything. That is in the process of being reversed, and that's incredibly important, because when other people I present to begin to experience wakening in their dream state, being out of their body at night, coming back with more memory in the daytime, having things happen in their daytime that are unmistakable as far as a certain guidance is concerned, and they begin to remember they're not native to here. Here's a statement I'm going to make, and I never ever ask anybody to take it at face value or on faith, or just take it with a grain of salt, because people need to experience for themselves. But I discovered no human being ever evolved on this planet in the first place, ever. They were brought here over a 50 million year period after the dinosaurs were made extinct. Where is that history in people's awareness? It's their history. They have a right to know it. And if you didn't originate on this planet as a human being, where do you come from? What's your true history? That's what the hue begins to awaken in people. It is so pure, and the way that it was set up long ago in creation, when you begin to work with it, it comes with a certain kind of protection. You feel it. Your heart opens. Things happen. It's an activation on a super level. Let's put it that way.
I think we're talking the same language. I understand it differently. My belief system, moral, spirit, energy, living the human experience.
Right. That's right.
In order to have that experience, you had to absolutely forget everything you were, to have a full human life, and then go back to where you came from as energy, and then, talk to your buddies about it over an energy bar.
I used to see it like that. I see it a little differently now because of my experience only. That's perfectly valid and good, but there's more to it. Most people think that they volunteered to come here, like some supreme being somewhere said, "Hey, Joe, I want you to go down to Earth, forget everything, and just bump into walls with everybody else." It's a good thing. But it wasn't a supreme being that did that.
It's themselves.
On a level, yes.
So,
let's say you once knew this stuff, and you want to recall what you once knew. You want to know how you got to be on this earth. All I'm sharing with people is they can do that now, and they'll get the help they need to do it.
I guess we're all striving to do that in our own way. So, of all of your collective experiences, which one stands out the most to just, when you think about it, it's still shock and awe you?
When I started, another thing I didn't talk about is I've been able to explore things beyond this life, out of body when I was young, throughout my life. I still do that because people have this ability, but they don't remember. Or they think it's a dream, or it's fantasy or fiction. They don't have a reality. There's nobody teaching them growing up in this planet that dreams are places they go to and experience when they're not at home in the body. And the body's on a trance state called sleep. Pineal glands, melatonin and serotonin, which put the body in a trance state to keep the heart going, the lungs working while you're not home. It's automatic. That's why when someone's in a deep sleep, you say, "Hey, bud," and they just don't hear you. They're not there. They are actually somewhere. And many people around the earth are beginning to remember more and more about what they do at night when their body's asleep. I've had direct contact experiences with benevolent extraterrestrials, mostly, fortunately in my case, and then a lot of direct telepathic and out-of-body contact with them, ongoing for 60 years. So when I try to share this with people a little bit, I'm sharing with them from what I know from experience to be true, or I don't share it. I'm completely sincere about that.
I had Well, I'll just tell you about it, and you tell me what happened. About a year into my wake-up experience, I had become familiar with ET, and although I never physically saw them, I could always tell they were in my surroundings by a smell. And that smell that they give off is like a hospital room. It's very sterile, very clean. And I asked them, I said, I want to go aboard one of your ships. And I very distinctly remember laying in bed, and I fell asleep, and I woke up, and I like, oh, it's time. And I didn't see, but I felt my body go whoop, and the next thing I knew, I was waking up, and it was probably 2 or 3 hours later.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anything in between. But that experience of being lifted up, there wasn't any bright lights, there was no visuals, it was just a sensation. Does that sound familiar to you? Very familiar to me. I had those kinds of experiences early on, but they evolve if you head in the right direction, evolve into conscious contact. I mean, even while we're sitting here talking, I'm in touch with Terrellian now. It's not a psychic thing, it's a telepathic thing. There's no fear. It doesn't intrude in my space or control me. I'm not a channel of him or anything like that. He's a fellow being. When I learned that human beings on many other worlds were naturally telepathic and it evolved this billions of years ago, I discovered human beings are one of the oldest races in creation. And they didn't evolve on this planet, which means human beings in this form have had much higher faculty access than they have now on Earth, much higher. You mean Bigfoot's from another planet? I don't know about Bigfoot. I don't get into Bigfoot. I've seen one twice at a ski resort. 2 of them came up to see why me and my friends were sleeping in the snow in a parking lot when we shouldn't have been there. They made the most blood-curdling yell you can imagine and walked off. I've never seen them since. I don't explore them. I don't really know what they are. It's not in my bailiwick, to discuss them. So this telepathic connection you have with this entity, Terrellian, yeah. Terrellian. Can he or her or other kind of describe the path that I'm currently on and where the trajectory is going to take me? Yeah, we'll see. I mean, from what I can tell about you, Peter, from your website and your technology, you're endeavoring to put out something that will benevolently change consciousness, something that will, particularly your focus on the subconscious is right on, because everything everybody ever knew in the universe is still there. It might be suppressed under an artificially created energetic field we call the subconscious. But when that energetic field is released, when the implants, here's what an implant is. It's a artificially created, terrorizing control mechanism that has fear and death and torture and dominance of another race over you, implanted in the energetic field. So it's that through you look through with the nervous system that affects your decision making. But the clever part about it is the sound and sight of what's in it are occluded, so that all you do is feel the terror subconsciously. This drives most people to never really accomplish a whole lot in a lifetime towards remembering how they got here. One of the things that I was shown, and I'm continuing to go through with them, is the removal of what are called the superficial implants. These are the implants which are positioned in the energetic field to keep a primary implant in place, always active, so that people are misdirected constantly in the internet or through satellites or whatever. And the interesting thing is that people all over the world are starting to get free of this despite what tyrants have done. And they don't plan on that. So your work dealing with the subconscious and setting something free in there, if you get that to the surface, underneath that is all the things you ever knew in Galactic History 101 about multi-dimensions, travel among the stars, your hidden history, where you were before this life. It all starts to come back. So, I mean, to answer your question, you're heading in a direction, and there are more steps, but you're heading in a direction that can be very beneficial to getting what is sleeping down there in people on this planet to the surface, if that answers your question. It's interesting. I'll share a story with you. My parents know what I do, and they respect it. And to some extent, they're into it, but they don't know the depth and the breadth and the scope of what I do. But they each now have a harmonic field amplifier in their cars. And my father's from Switzerland. He's 81, and my mom is Bronx Italian. She's in her mid-70s, and it's just very cool to watch how the technology works on them and the cars. So my dad is constantly, talking about how they're, they go back and forth between Connecticut and Philadelphia all the time, and how they're always driving and there's no one, behind them and no one in front of them. And how they always get a parking spot, and how this and that. It's like they can't figure it out. It's just it's hysterical to watch how a piece of technology that has no moving parts and uses no electricity works to create this field and take that non-harmonic energy and through the 0 point. And
so you're working through 0 point to do it. First getting that centered there, and then out from there.
This is
that's cool.
This is the home and office version, but you'll notice that here is a clockwise spiral that takes all the non-harmonic energy, and the silver inlay that goes across the top around here and all the way around the sides helps create the field and keep it stable. And then on the flip side, it is turned counterclockwise in a harmonic state. And it happens at the speed of thought. You just link it and off it goes, and it does what it does. And these are coming in the November timeframe. But
oh, wonderful, wonderful.
You talk about, when I asked you to talk about the entity a second ago, and it was interesting because last year it's almost a year now that I had the idea to create the HFA. And if you want to create something in America from start to finish,
right,
the first people, you reach out for manufacturers, and the first people to call you are the lawyers. They all want to give you a patent.
Yeah.
And then the companies start coming in, and they all want to build prototypes, and everything's done by the book. I have never operated by the book in anything I do.
It's a good thing.
And because, and this is complimenting what you're saying, by the way, because there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. And it just shows in this creation process that, it took me 2 manufacturers that couldn't get the product right, wanted an extraordinary amount of money to get it done, to find one that was able to think outside the box like I do and come up with masterful craftsmen that had no fear in building these devices. They've never seen them. They still don't know what they do, except they're beautiful and they feel good.
Very well put together.
And they feel good working on them. And 1 year from start to finish, actually 10 months from conception to debut, and out into the world they go. And that's a testament to what you're saying about the path, because anyone else that I know about that has wanted to create something and get it out in the world is hit all kinds of, it takes 5 years. There's prototyping, there's this, there's that. Everything just lined up. And here's another example of how we are doing a 30-day challenge, body, mind, and spirit. I just thought of this idea 33 days ago. Okay. Today, we created the first draft of the PR campaign, which is a commercial with 6 polished professionals in the body, mind, and spirit pillars that are all going to be coming and talking. We're going to be doing 30 days. There'll be videos every day over 30 days. And, just how this rolled together is just absolute perfection. It wants to be out in the world. And it's like everything in the path. It gives you everything you need when you need it, nothing less, nothing more. And it rolls like a well-oiled machine. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy the way it
well, that's been my experience with the hue. The reason it's important is because it's not native to this planet. It was not created here. There's no organization on this earth that can patent, own, or possess the function of that word, and none of them would dare, because it is run by hundreds of billions of beings, far more advanced than we are on Earth, and they wouldn't tolerate anybody trying to own that one. So I just give it, I share it with people because I know in their own field of work, it's going to open more doors, it's going to provide more protection, And then you get some help from friends from out of town around getting things manifested, which normally would be blocked by hidden controllers here. Like when you try to get a patent, and every patent is screened by a hidden government on this planet. I won't get into conspiracy theories, but they look at all these patents because they want to know if it can be conscripted to military industrial complex or not. Is it threatening? And that's where people get into problems under the National Security Act about that kind of thing. Did you patent this, or did you just not worry about that?
Look, I did everything by the book. And
Okay.
patented people are the first people you talk to. Now, I have lawyers in my family. My siblings are lawyers, so I know the deal.
Yeah.
And
you know the deal.
you know, they first of all, to get a patent in this country, there's processes you got to go through, and then you want to go to Europe, but you got to get one in every individual country.
Right.
So there is no unified global patent system. So let's say you do get one here in North America and all of Europe. Well, then it's going to go to the Asian countries, and you know, to get a patent in there is very, very difficult. And then, you know, some people say they like to copy stuff. So if they're going to copy it, but the beauty in what I create is you can copy it, you can create it, but it ain't going to work for you. And that's it. End of story.
You got it.
You know,
You do the activation part of it from your end, don't you?
I hand pick everyone out of the lot. I look at it, I baby it, I put it back together, and I ship them. And, you know, this type of technology, people don't realize, you know, I do these videos called MDM minutes every day, different topics, a lot of knowledge transfer. I also, about 30 days ago, started doing a daily quote. And if I am not in a beneficial mood when I'm doing the daily quote, I don't do it. Because like the devices, like the minutes, like the quotes, they contain the memory imprints of the last person that touched them, me.
You have to be careful how you program it, right? Initially.
Well, if I'm in a bad mood, I don't work.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you have the awareness to do that because it makes a huge difference. You're responsible for what you put out. And if you put out good things and only under the right conditions, it's going to have that effect.
Absolutely.
It's definitely going to have that effect. It's energetic. It's quantum physics. It's a quantum amongst many quantums. It's 0 point going out from the source, from prime creator, what beings from other worlds call the source. People call the supreme being. They call prime creator. But they have a different concept of it altogether than we do. They know growing up on those worlds that they're meant, their destiny is to be a conscious, free co-creator with this source, not a co-slave. They're supposed to be responsible beings out there in the universe, you know, and that's what I think that we're doing, you and your way and me and mine and others, to begin to wake this planet up, because man, people haven't got a clue yet. Some.
Yeah. I worked on Wall Street for 20 years.
I heard that about you, yeah.
One of the world's largest investment banks, okay? I've seen The Walking Dead first.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Worked with The Walking Dead for a long time. And that career is ancient history, and this is what I do now.
You know what is impressive about me is that someone like you can have the background you have. Despite all odds, you come out the other side waking up and doing something beneficial from that background. I just got off a radio show with Lisa Hayes of dreamsforsociety.com. Wonderful woman. You know what her background was? She's a conscious, spiritually awake person. Vibrant, delightful. You know what her background was? She just quit the day I was on her show. Lobbyist. And yet she's all the way over here, and it's happening despite what tyrants have done. I get so tickled by this stuff. I mean, you just wouldn't figure it. Lawyers, you know, and she's a lawyer.
I just want
she's like completely on the other side of everything. It's amazing.
I just want to clarify something. I had my wake up experience halfway through my career there. Wow. So the second half of my career there was very, very different than the first half.
Hell on wheels.
What's that?
Was it hell on wheels?
I was. It was very, very interesting. You know, I was a computer programmer guru by day, you know, 200 miles an hour with my hair on fire at night, you know, writing software that modifies water and whatever else I was doing back then.
I'm also very familiar with Dr. Emoto's work, and Michiko Hayashi is a personal friend. She's doing all the water stuff for the PR stuff for that organization now worldwide. So that's all dealing with water. Peter, somebody you should have on your show, Dr.
Emoto.
Gerald Pollack. Professor Gerald Pollack, Washington State University, is the leading authority on the latest advances in understanding water, because human beings don't have H2O in their blood. It's fourth phase water.
We just had him.
We did
4 months ago.
Well, yeah, that's right. I saw the list. He's a friend. You know, he was in Finland. Dr. Irvin Laszlo. He's like Einstein was there. I was there as one of the presenters. Ted Marr, radio host, I got him invited over there. I mean, it's been a blast. These are the kind of people that went to this private 4-day event. And it wasn't about the public. It was about us sharing collectively, hobnobbing together to get this door opened on this planet. From the scientists who are spiritually aware to the metaphysical people. My particular is unique because it deals with Terrellian and other things that they're setting up for this world. So it was a great event. I'm not surprised that he was on your show.
He was a cool guy. We had a great
Jerry's a
conversation with him.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
Knows his stuff.
Without a doubt.
Water's chargeable from infrared and ultraviolet. He's got 5-dimensional levels of it figured out. You could program it like a computer. It has its own charge. Pretty cool stuff. There was a shaman named Nikola Orshak from Russia at that event. Very well known. This guy got in a full Indian headdress, and we were at a private, kind of a hotel on a private lake outside of Helsinki. And he bowed down to the water in the lake because they've known you can communicate with other worlds and other realities through the medium telepathically of water. And they know that. So, I mean, that's the kind of people who are at the event. So it's always very cooperative and cooperating between the various people in different disciplines. It was quite unique.
Awesome.
So I produced the videos for that, 13 people. I didn't charge the guy in Finland. He spent a fortune putting that together. I just did it. Put them up on YouTube so everybody could see them. You know, I charge for my books. I sell books because I'm an author. But there's some things that are meant to go to people because it's not part of that circuit. So that's how I deal with that issue.
Yeah, and I agree. And, you know, kind of getting back to the 30-day challenge, you know, I was talking about how you know, within 33 days, I mean, we went from, you know, an idea where I got up on, I think it was, Donna, was it Facebook Live? And I'm like, blah, 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 we're going to do this. And my idea was like, we're doing this in November.
Right.
And then I'm like, as I started thinking it through, I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't about me. This is about a collective group of professionals that can, you know, bring the body, mind, and spirit into alignment and change people's things. So now it's just running like a well-organized machine. All these people stepped up out of nowhere to, you know, to
contribute to it and
just get on board and make it happen. And it's been a really awesome experience so far.
What's the challenge? What's the 30-day challenge?
So we have 6 professionals that range from, you know, someone that writes books about nutrition to a PhD with the mind to a Reiki master to someone else that does this, that. And basically the idea is in the new year, we're going to challenge you to better yourself on every level. You know, just think about it. You know, you go to the gym or you buy workout equipment in the new year. In 6 weeks, it's in the closet collecting dust, right? You start a fab new diet. You do it for 6 weeks. You're back at Burger King or whatever.
Right.
You know, people, I'm of the opinion that everyone has a kindred spirit, whether they're conscious about it or not.
Right.
You know, the spirit always vibrates at the highest level. And then you have the mind, but the mind can be altered through excessive alcohol consumption or drugs or prescription or whatever. And then you have the body, and you know as well as I do, in the Western world, bodies are terrible. So when those 3 are out of alignment, you're not optimized to move forward in life. You're not going backwards, you're not going forwards, you're in neutrality. And in my world, you either do or you don't. So if you're working towards getting the body in shape, using mind games to get the mind up there, and getting the spirit in the same vibrational realm, then you're moving forward if you're working towards it. And what I want to do is I want to challenge people with professionals with their own programs. And then the idea is to take everyone's collected videos for that day and make one video, put it up on YouTube. Boom, 7 a.m. Eastern, out in the world it goes. Everyone that subscribes to the email gets the email to the video link. They can use the website as a portal for everything. And, at the end of it, we're going to have some really cool prizes. And, it's really done on the honor system.
I love everything that's motivating people to take some kind of action, because everything outside in this world is designed to keep them from ever lifting a finger to really benefit themselves, truly.
Absolutely.
So, like that's going to be wonderful. Great.
Hello.
Donna, are we doing live calls?
If you would like.
Actually, I don't, because I'm really enjoying my conversation with Scott. We only have a few minutes left.
That's true.
I would, if with your permission, Peter, and Donna's permission, always, I would like to do this with your participation. And I'd like to take it up 12 tones. Start on a low tone. Any tone that's comfortable. It doesn't have to be in harmony. Don't worry about whether you're a singer, because the vibration, what it begins to get to the surface, the loving feeling, the expanding of your energetic field, is something people can do listening to the show, even privately, and nobody will know they're doing it, because you mentioned about activation, and we might want to try a little activation along this line so they have something to take away from this show and play with it and experiment with it.
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to start on a low tone. What this does for your audience, anybody tuning in, is it connects the being, the real you, through the pineal gland in the center of the brain, which, by the way, has rods and cones in it like the physical eye. It's full of a liquid, clear liquid, supposed to be. And those rods and cones, it's connected to the optic nerve, but the rods and cones in that are for detecting precise frequencies out in creation. In other words, it's through that device that you, the being, looks into the universe to know things. If you can occlude that device or make people forget how to use it or cloud it up and calcify it, people can't see anything anymore. There's a way just to reverse all that. That's the important thing, because it's a normal function for a human being to look in the universe and know things with certainty, not doubt and speculation and theory. That's not normal. So we want to get people normal first on this planet. You'll have a whole transformation on this world, which is what we're after. So we'll start low. It's for people to have an experience. They can do it for 10 or 15 minutes at night, and we'll share the thing they send out in the universe that other beings will hear that are benevolent, loving, and wise, and will help them. We'll start on a low tone and go up 12 times. You ready? You might want to do it with me, if you care to, because it vibrates your upper, head upward.
I'll be in observer mode, thank you.
Then I'll do the next one. Hugh.